Welcome back. Bear in mind, we bounce from subject to subject, technique to technique, so we need you to stay agile and light on your feet. I think of all the years I've been in martial arts, the absolute favorite expression, and I say this facetiously, is, oh, anybody can bite. If you're gonna bite, well, I remember when I was like 10 years old and I said to my Uncle Joe, I want to study karate. He goes, you don't need that karate, just kick him in the balls. Good old Uncle Joe, you don't need that stuff. It's like saying anybody can punch, but then there's this thing called boxing. You don't need boxing, just hit them. That's what everyone else does. Okay, in order, I will give you the most complicated aspects of our art. Though number one, the simplest aspect, punching and kicking. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 5. It's relatively simple. The most sophisticated boxers I rate as a 5 in terms of simplicity, just how difficult it is to pull off punching and kicking. Now, as we get more technical, we get up into the wrapping. I give that a 7. Okay? Traps can be very intricate. Now you're dealing with punches, elbows, knees, headbutts, arm wrenches, eye gouges, energy drills to augment the traps. Okay? Then from trapping, to get even more complex, we can move it up to weapons. Okay? The butt of the stick, the flip of the stick, with that extra extension on the hand, it's exponentially more complicated. Okay? So I would give that a 9. Okay? Guess what I give a 10 to? You know it. I can't tell you how complicated biting is, because I found out from the very first day. I was in the garage with Horian in 1988, and I put on this gi, and I'm trying to remember how to tie a white belt, and I'm like, oh fuck, jeez. Okay? And I got some goofy old Gordian knot thing going, and I'm on the ground, and within the first 5 seconds I was tapping like this. And I said to myself, I'll be damned, I've been in the martial arts my whole life and some guy rapes me like this on the ground horizontal. And from that very first day I said to myself, I'm gonna learn this game, but there's gotta be a way to circumvent it. Okay? There's gotta be a way to at least give us a chance. A chance. Did you ever get in the ring with a pro boxer and you try to box him? You have no chance. Not that much, okay? But if you apply elbows, knees, headbutts, eye jabs, then at least your odds are 50-50. Do you ever get on the ground with a black belt, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, man? You have no chance, okay? So you've got to have some way to at least bump up your odds. It's not guaranteeing anything. But I can tell you this, for the last 9 years, I've not been approaching Jiu-Jitsu from the sport point of view. I've been approaching it from a street fight point of view, investigating every possible way to bite. There are 12 areas on the body and 12 bites per area. I got 144 possible ways to bite somebody uninterrupted. Talk to me next year, I might have more, okay? But that's the idea, and when you know the areas, then it's just a matter of connecting the dots. And if an arm presents itself, take the arm. If the neck presents itself, take the neck. Otherwise, continue your biting. Let's say if that is one moment in time and that, from here to here is a moment in time, okay? If you're doing jiu-jitsu, an arm lock, a choke, a sweep, whatever, a foot lock may present itself here, maybe here, and maybe here. And then the moment's over. And you may have been able to get it, maybe you didn't. Now, between that same moment in time, how many times does a uninterrupted, barbaric, vicious, fight-ending bite present itself? Here, 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 here. Okay? All the way to here. So logic would dictate, as you look into the world of all the boxers out there, and all the Thai boxers, and all the guys that can just duke it out, and it's just this gigantic ladder. I look at it like a gigantic ladder. And you work 2-3 hours a day in that gym, and here's this ladder, and you moved yourself maybe after 2 years from here to here in the giant world out there, okay? Maybe after 5 years, maybe you want to turn pro, you move yourself to here. But then if somebody says, hey, don't box. Headbutt, knee, elbow, straight blast, eye gouge, woo. We can move you to here instantly. Okay? That's the only way to do it. It's an equalizer. It's the Filipino mentality, one-upmanship. If you have empty hands, I want a knife. If you have a knife, I want a gun. Okay? If you want a gun, I'll get you in your sleep. But one way we're gonna win. Okay? No matter what, we're gonna win. And if you beat me today, I'll come back and I'll get you tomorrow in your sleep. Okay? So the whole idea is we're gonna win. And with that in mind, the bite presents itself more times than anything else. Okay? Any questions so far? All right, let's spend our last 5 minutes working the bottom bite. Okay? This one and this one. Actually, no, let's take it from the top and turn it into a flow pattern. Okay? So I start here, I'm biting. He moves it up to here, I push this over, I bite. He pushes me down to here, I bite. He pikes, I come up on a knee, I punch. I come back down to here, I bite. He oopas me. Okay? Now he's in the guard. Now he bites. Bam! Now he passes the guard. He comes around, he starts his bite. Boom. I do my counter. He checks to his second bite. I push him down. He goes, then I pike, then he pops up, then he mounts. Okay, and we go on again. Okay, so we'll turn the 5 bites into a sombrata flow pattern. Let's give it a try. Now let's talk about when we are at a disadvantage. Most wrestlers, large and strong, will come at you with a double leg takedown or some kind of takedown. Okay? When they do, if they accomplish their takedown, for whatever reason, you might be in the middle of fighting this guy and his friend comes from here. Whatever reason, most of the time, they end up cross-eyed. Okay? Let me get Roy and Ryan, or Ryan and Tom. Doesn't matter. Is Roy around? Okay, Ryan. Okay, so what I want you to do is just do a double leg takedown on Tom and go cross-eyed. Okay, move around a little. Okay, this is where you end up. Freeze. Okay? So in other words, after the takedown, ending up cross-eyed. One more time, please. Just move around a little bit, fake high, and go on down low. Okay? So when you are in Tom's position, you are vulnerable. Okay, thank you. So now let's talk about what to do from the bottom. If the opponent does what 50% of people are going to do, right off the bat he's lost. Right off the bat. Okay? So you're cross-eyed and I want you to put both elbows over top of me. So if he goes cross-eyed immediately, good, get up. And this whole time, I'm ripping. There's nothing left here. Okay? So if he starts in the wrong position, he's already lost the fight. Okay? Now, this is a very subtle move, so I want you to pay attention. If he starts in the correct position, okay, let's see what would be our best angle. I think this would be our best angle. Correct meaning shoulders here, and it's up in my chin. Now I do not have this bite. I take my elbow, put it on the hip, take my hip, and I'm going to turn my body, I don't know, 15 degrees. So from this position, squeeze down, and then I'll get up. Okay? So you have to get the weight from the shoulder off your face, turn your body 15 degrees, and grab the neck. Okay? That's a move that takes this much action.
Oh, can't you say that once again to yourself?
I surely can, and in fact, I'll do it on you. Come here. Okay, that's a number 3. There you go. Now what I did was I pushed it this way, and then from my right. Okay, so you're trying to push here. I take this, shift to here, and then I go to the right. Okay?
Yeah.
Now let me do it to you. Make sure you know how to do it. Okay. So we're right here. I've got the pressure on. Turn and but you need to hug me a little tighter in the neck so I can't come up. You don't want me to be able to bring that hand under. Okay, one more time, please. So I'm right here, turn and go. That's it. Okay? One little turn, one little move.
What was the wrong way that the guy would get on top of you? Okay.
Or this.
Okay.
Anytime this elbow is here,
Okay.
it's the wrong way, baby. For Kinamutai,
Right, right,
not for jiu-jitsu.
right.
Please understand, when we talk about using a knife or biting a hole in somebody's face or taking an eyeball out or bludgeoning them with a stick, these are only things that we do in life or death situations. Situations where you would have to protect your family. This is not the sport. This is the art. This is a self-preservation. Could you imagine somebody attacking your wife or attacking your child and then not doing that?
It's so funny because when you hardcore one thing, you can hardcore jiu-jitsu and you're like, oh, no problem, let's go, 8 more rounds. Or, okay, but when you get a stick in your hand, you're not used to hardcoring it. Do you know we used to do numerata for 4 hours? We would start with a staff and go from a staff to the double stick, to the stick and dagger, to the single stick, to the double dagger, to the single dagger, to the palm stick, and then go single dagger against palm stick, single dagger against double stick against staff, staff against knife. If you have 12 weapons, and each weapon can feed the other weapon, you have 144 combinations. It's too much in a life. You need 2 lifetimes. Okay? And the beauty of this is, I'm keeping it matched right now. Espada Daga versus Espada Daga. Keeps it a little bit more baseline, a little easier. Okay? When you really start to understand your numerata, you will have, one side will have a knife, the other side will have double stick. Now try going in, cutting, trapping, Tai Chiing the guy out, and then moving around. So the guy with a knife always has to go in, the guy with the double stick is always keeping this person away. Okay? Sometimes the guy with a knife will be feeding, and then he'll be feeding the double stick. So the beauty of this, actually, let's go ahead and let you see a few of these rounds. Okay? Talk is cheap. Spread out. Okay, Ryan, Tom. Now what Ryan has to do now is stay on the outside, wait for the timing, get in, get his cuts, and get back out again. And do all of that while these sticks are going Benihana, and you got to get in at the exact proper time and trap up the sticks with body mechanics. So there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to it. Okay, ready? Go. Ryan double blade. Okay, Ryan your feet. Time your feet. Good, now Ryan hand Tom a knife. Okay, Ryan your feet. Drop the knife, Ryan drop the knife. Okay, Ryan, you feed the punches first. Ready? Go. Grab that knife. Good. Tom drop the stick. Okay, throw the knife to Tom. Okay, Tom you feed. necessity of attributes for what you just saw there compared to punching and kicking is like the difference between chess and a game of jacks. Okay? So if you can crank it up doing this stuff, when it comes to empty hand, you're there. Plus, when it comes to sparring, your line familiarization will be there. Okay? So remember my semi-analogy now. I want everybody to be down here as if you're doing everything out of a semi-truck. Okay? So you're really low. Everything is predicated comfortable down here. Okay? If you're not comfortable down here, it's never going to work for you. Okay? Last two rounds. Last two rounds. Yesterday we started the day with self-perfection, or was it self-preservation? Yeah, after the warm-up though. Perfection. Well, you guys are on. Very precise. Okay, then we went to self-preservation with elbows, knees, and headbutts, and sparring, but then what did we do? We combined them. Okay, we combined them. So today, numerata is what? Self-perfection or self-preservation? Perfection. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to spar, of course. Because the brain has this propensity to get locked into one thing. And when it does, everybody's does. When you say, go from this to that, it's these transitional periods when we screw up. It's like we talked about yesterday, when we go from perfection to preservation, or when we go from knife fighting to empty hand fighting, or stick fighting to bottle fighting, or empty hand fighting to ground fighting, or from ground back up again. I don't know if you guys ever read our book, but back 10 years ago we talked about fights being conducted in all four ranges. Okay? And I think by now we all see that that is a fact. And now I can tell you another fact, and that is most fights involve weapons. Okay? So now the world is starting to pick up where Bruce was back in 1970. Okay? Read the Tao of Jeet Kune Do. Go through Bruce's writings. I mean, you've all done it, but really do it from the perspective of, my goodness, this guy was right the whole time. Look at the UFC. What did they start off doing great? No, what was the good thing that they started doing in the UFC? What was the best? They mixed everybody up, and then who did they have? The best at what? Ground fighting. They were pitting great ground fighters with mediocre kickboxers. Okay? And then everybody went one direction, and everybody swayed another direction, and they go with the, whatever fad is around. And then we predicted back then, so you watch. There's a lot of ground fighting going on. Wait till we get somebody that really knows how to punch. Okay? And then lo and behold, we had people that could punch and ground fight. And we said, what? Some industrious young person is going to come along and figure out that they need kicks too. And then you have your Maurice Smiths or your Marco Rujases that can kick and box and ground fight. But they'll never weapons fight because you can't cut each other in the ring. They'll never bite and eye gouge because you can't bite and eye gouge each other. And they'll never ever do traps because it's just not legal stuff to be doing. You can't go around killing each other. Okay? So they'll never get to the point of total reality, but at least they're coming very close. They're seeing what Bruce saw 30 years ago. Okay? It was cutting edge. Now what I'm trying to tell you is 7 out of 10, up to 8.5 out of 10 street fights, altercations, and these are all based upon police department reports from the East Coast to the West Coast. And I mean, I'm talking over 15 years. 8 out of 10 fights, weapons are involved. And we may think to ourselves, oh hell, anybody can hit somebody with a bottle. Okay? But that's not the case. One person with a bottle can hold off 5 people that don't know how to fight with a bottle. One person with a weapon, one stick, where you bust one pull cue, and you can hold off an entire bar until police come, if you have to. If you have to protect your family, you can do so. On the other hand, if you don't know how to use a stick, I've seen guys stand up. Somebody, put your stick down. I've seen guys stay there, okay? Come across a bar with something, a bottle or something, go right up to here and go, okay? I mean, here's about the range where it would have worked just fine. Boom. But they just are absolutely clueless. And if this person, and I can bore witness to this, happened to break a bottle over a bar, and this person had the stick coming up to do that move, just right in the eyes, that would have ended the thing just like that. And you think, well, they both have a weapon. No, he knows how to use it. He doesn't. Just like, well, they're both just ground fighting. Okay? You don't need that jujitsu stuff. Just roll around. Okay? You don't need collie stuff. So the point is, to be proficient with the weapons will save your ass someday. Or possibly could. Okay? So we want to be thinking about this. So I'm going to have we're going to have Tom and Ryan spar and do numerata. Spar and then do numerata. So we're going to go back and forth from self-preservation to self-perfection. Okay? So everybody do one round. I'm going to want you guys to do this. We're going to go 5 rounds and then we'll kick into energy drills. Okay, ready? Thomas, you feed first. Ready? And go. When we talk about different positions that one can clinch in a fight, personally, I like the neck. We clinch from the neck because we're trappers, and trappers come in with a straight blast. If you're straight blasting somebody, the neck is a natural place to be. When you clinch on the neck, now you're controlling the whole body. You also have the thumbs to the eyes, the headbutt to the face, the knees to the groin. This is a combination of elements that you can have from the neck clinch. If you pummel and try to clinch to the body the way the American wrestlers do, or go for a double leg takedown, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. In fact, it works great. The only problem is you'll never be able to fight outside of your own weight class. Try taking a 250-pound man doing a double leg takedown, pick him up and slam him on the ground. That is difficult.
On the other hand, try jabbing somebody's eyes, straight blasting them, and then clinching from the neck. Now from the neck you can thumb the eyes, headbutt the face, knee the groin. So our clinch position, what we prefer, is the neck, because we are trappers, not grapplers. Okay, one of your favorite ground fighting positions? Not technically what's the most superior, but what's one of your favorite?
Guard.
The guard? Okay. All right. Why does he like the guard so much?
It's comfortable.
He's comfortable. Why? Do you happen to practice the guard a lot?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. That's why. Because he's there a lot. That's the answer. Okay? Why? If I asked a judo man, what's one of your favorite positions? You know what he's going to say, don't you? Cross-side. That's where they practice all the time. Okay? You know where a boxer wants to be, right? Not inside. He wants to be in boxing range. That's the thing boxers want to be. When they're getting clinched, they're looking at the ref, bitching, moaning, whining. Okay? They hate all that. Okay? So wherever you happen to be, you will love that position. So what you need to do is you need to get into a reference point and spend 100 hours. 100 hours. Log 100 hours on somebody's neck, or many people's neck, while they try to punch you. I guarantee you, you're going to love being there. And when you get in a fight, it's going to be stand up. You're going to be like, oh, fuck, I don't like this. This sucks. And then you're going to throw a jab. Then you go in with your jab, and you're bam, bam, bam. And you're like, oh, fuck, thank God I'm home. You don't have people out there that know how to use a stick and know how to use a knife and do destruction, straight blasts, headbutts, knees, elbows, Wing Chun traps, ground fighting, Kina Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Huva, Chi Sao, Lap Sao. Jesus, we can thank Dan for this. That man has not left a stone unturned. Okay? What he did for JKD and for Kali, nobody will ever know. He educated the whole world, not just America. What is an energy drill? Energy drill. Somebody.
Feeling opponent's pressures.
Let me get any water. Thanks, bro. I'm sorry?
Feeling the opponent's pressure.
Okay. Feeling the... Thanks, bro. Did you afford it? Did you afford it? Yeah, feeling the opponent's pressure. Okay? Now, why... And I need you to all put your thinking caps on here. Okay? Why would we need to feel the opponent's pressure? Okay?
To calculate his movement.
Okay, but what pressure? Okay, let's say we're moving around in long range. The guy throws some wild punch at us and we do a nice eye jab. Okay? Then, what do we do after that? Straight blast. Okay? Then what do we do after that? Headbutt, knee, and elbow. Okay? What pressure? Pardon me? If you make a mistake and get tangled up. Okay? Let's back up for a second and remember that word mistake. Because that's the only reason we do energy drills, is to teach us to read pressure so we can apply a trap, okay, to get back to what we were doing. So let's remember that word mistake. Now let's go to jiu-jitsu. What are one thing jiu-jitsu people do? Arm locks. What else? Chokes. What else? Sweeps. Leg locks. Okay? Also, what else? What's that other category called? What? Escapes? Do you ever hear of escapes? Okay. Now, answer this question for me. Why would a jiu-jitsu person want to learn a mistake? A escape. In case he makes a mistake. Exactly. Okay. You don't think they're sitting there trying to pass the guard and going, oh, here, take the head, swipe, because I know that escape. You know, and then the guy gets you in a headlock, and then you go out and do. They're not trying to screw up, but, you know, shit happens. I mean, you make mistakes. So in the process of trying to pass the guard, in the process of trying to mount, in the process of trying to sweep, maybe this big guy grabs you in a headlock. Well, it's really good to know an escape at that point so you can get back to what you were doing. But the guy, you don't give the head so he can get you in a headlock just so you can practice your escape. If you do the rapid assault tactics program that we have been doing for 15 years, okay, if you get an interception or a destruction in, and if you straight blast this person, things are working well, and you get your headbutt, knee, and elbow in, you're going to do well. But we need an escape. We need to be able to have a backup in case something screws up. That's where energy drills come in. People ask me, you know, what kind of energy stuff did you teach with the Navy SEALs? I didn't do any energy stuff. We didn't have time. We didn't do chi sao, we did nothing. All we did was eyes, blast, and headbutt. And if they got tangled up, they were SOL. Because we just simply didn't have time for it. You, on the other hand, for that maybe 5 or 10% of the time that you do make a mistake and get tangled up, okay, Scotty, let me borrow you for a second. Okay, let's say I throw a punch at you, Scotty, you give me a nice destruction and a straight blast, bam, and you're punching my face, and then boom, I put up a hand. That's when. Now stop right at this point, Scott. Okay, so if you take the destruction, bam, okay, kind of has to be bam, boom, 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 and then a hand comes up, free. Look where we are. Okay? Now, why would we be here? Okay, but what preceded that? The straight blast. If you don't straight blast, you will not get a cohesion. Swing at me, and I swing at you. Where's the cohesion? Okay? Where's this? It's not there. Why? Because you're not straight blasting. If you're just a kickboxer, and if you've never done Jeet Kune Do, and if you've never entered with a blast, which is what Jeet Kune Do is, okay, and upon 21 years of conversation with Dan, and many, many films, we've seen that that's all Bruce did when he was serious, interception and a blast. Because we all know that that's what works. They're getting somebody to run backwards. So if you don't do that blast, you will never need to do a trap. Because you'll never end up here. I used to teach a parks class, little junior high kids. And I remember this one kid came up to me and goes, Coach, I tried this jump shot 15 times in the game, and it didn't work once. Jump shot doesn't work. Okay? Think about it. That's the mindset. That's the mindset of some thinkers out there. So what we want to do is we want to align everybody so we're all on the same page. Okay? And the same page is this. If you just kickbox, you're only going to fight within the confines of your own weight class. If you just grapple, American grappling, just tough American wrestling, you're only going to fight in the confines of your own weight class. When was the last Olympics wrestling match you watched? Anybody? Okay, fine. When was the last time you saw a heavyweight go against a lightweight? Okay, it's unheard of. Why? Because it's American wrestling. It's not jiu-jitsu. Okay, it's not sensitivity. It's not a sensitive art. Okay, so if you are an Adam or a Rory, okay, you're above the average person in strength and size. Most likely, you're gonna do well kickboxing. If Adam and Rory meet somebody bigger than them, have you ever met anyone bigger than you?
Heavyweight.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. Okay? Then you guys, or you, okay? What's your name? I'm sorry.
Acha.
Okay? What do you weigh?
260.
260. Okay, you ever seen anybody bigger than you?
Yep.
Many times, right? Yeah. So no matter how big you are, okay, if you only kickbox, you're still going to only be able to fight within the confines of somebody your size. So this is why we created trapping. Now, I had nothing to do with it, but you couldn't do it. Okay? This is why Bruce and Dan created a method that you can fight outside of your weight class. Because the blast is the infrastructure of what we do. And that allows you to fight outside of the weight class. But in order to do a blast, you must have the timing and the footwork and the spatial relationship and the line familiarization that it takes in long range to enter. You must know how to intercept and know how to destroy, and that's simply kickbox. So this is what we do the weapons for. That gives us all of those other attributes. Then we straight blast in the fight, and then and only then, if we get tangled up, we need an energy drill
That way, when Scotty's coming in, bam, 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 he feels something, he feels the energy, and now he can do what he was going to do. Thank you. Okay? But without that, and we're stuck right here, nobody knows what to do, and you know, you're going to end up in a situation. And they'll be in a headlock, just two guys struggling. An average old street fight. Okay?
Ooh, what about the premise of, instead of worrying about moving the obstruction, either choosing a different line or going around the obstruction?
I love it.
Fashion.
Yeah, love it. It's like 15 different ways to do something, and they all work, you know? But when you're here, sometimes if you're in this range, okay, it's much easier to go boom, okay, and that kind of kills this. Sometimes you're not in that range and the energy feels better to do this, okay? Sometimes you're here but you feel him pushing, That's when this energy feels better. I feel him pushing here, I collapsed, he came in again, I collapsed again. This hand has to be able to read the energy, okay? Otherwise, you know what's going to happen? You're going to get stuck. And this is not the only place you get stuck. You get stuck here, you get stuck here, you get stuck here, you get stuck here, you get stuck here. All these places are sticking points. And all of these sticking points, you need energy, okay, to be able to get out of. There are 4 phases to learning martial arts. The first phase is you need an instructor. You need somebody better than you at the art. Somebody that gives you the osmosis. For example, you're on the ground, you're wrestling, you're doing your jiu-jitsu, you're feeling this person. They're your private instructor. That's one phase. Now, in addition to that, you need the other phase, which is the group class. The group class gives you the ability to connect with different people, different energies, different size, weight, strength, coordination. This is now giving you the ability to adapt to different people. So you have private instruction and you have group instruction. Now you need your solo training. Solo training means it's you and the mirror, or you and your heavy bag, by yourself in your garage an hour a day. This is something that your teacher can't give you. This is something that the group class can't give you. Now we have 3. The final element, the final ingredient in this cake is your training partner. Your training partner is a friend that you can say, hey, Joe, let's go down to the park. Throw 1,000 jabs at me. And then Joe might come back to you after 1,000 jabs and say, I'd like to ground fight for an hour. So you and your partner can do literally anything you want with each other. So you have private instruction, you have group instruction, you have solo, and you have your training partner. If you put all these 4 phases together, I guarantee you this is the most conducive formula for growing. Numerata comes from the blade, okay? The old art of Kali is the blade art. Young kids nowadays love to do stick stuff. The in thing is to put on helmets and beat the shit out of each other. And they just shut their eyes and swing and they have a pillow fight, okay? And that doesn't exactly promote body mechanics, nor does it promote anything reasonable to functionality, okay? Because when you have a real pipe in your hand, a real piece of hardwood, not a piece of rattan with air going through it, like we said yesterday, most of those ignored hand smashes would be there. The old guys, how many people have seen, or read, I should say, Dan's book, The Filipino Martial Arts? Raise your hand.
Film?
I'm sorry?
You said film.
No, read. Okay. Did you see the old guys? Do you remember the old guys in there? Most of those guys have gone. Okay? And with them, a lot of the art went. The body mechanics from Numerata, or the cross-stepping and the upward figure eights and the abanicos and the bacalaos and the sunketis and the floretis, combining with the movement, these are body mechanics that you're not going to see much anymore. Okay? They were around at a certain time, but times have changed and it's gotten more sportive. Okay? And those are the body mechanics that transpose themselves to empty hands.
Those are the body mechanics that turn an elbow into a lethal weapon, that turn a headbutt into a lethal weapon. Otherwise, it's just an elbow. It's just a headbutt. So when you mix the body mechanics that you're going to be implementing with Numerata, you'll naturally move that way. And once you start moving that way, and then you mix that with our rapid assault tactics program of intercept or destroy, straight blast, and headbutt, knee, and elbow, when you actually get into the headbutt, knee, and elbow part, the body mechanics will show. You'll see. You'll look at the guy's headbutt and you'll go, now that's a headbutt. If this guy ever headbutted me, that would be a headbutt. Okay? Actually, let's start right there. I want you to see the end result first. Okay? Okay. Ryan and Ryan. Okay, let me just have you get in Thai boxing position. Okay? And you're at, I just need a body. Okay? I'm just trying to get the same weight. And all I want you to do is start a barrage of head. Keep your head back now. Yeah. Okay? And we just started a barrage of elbows, knees, and headbutts. Now, you're looking at not the fact that it's a headbutt, but look at the mechanics that Ryan puts behind the headbutt. It's not a Jean-Claude Van Damme headbutt. Okay? So you will see the difference. Ready? And go. And a couple knees. Break. Okay? Ow. Those mechanics don't come from boxing. Those mechanics don't come from kicking. Okay? They come from the weapons. I want you to think about the beauty of the totality, because this is the greatest gift that Bruce left us. This is the greatest gift. It is the symbol, the Jeet Kune Do symbol. It is the writing around the yin yang. It is the infrastructure of what we're all about, using no way as way. I have no doubt in my mind, had Bruce have lived, because he'd already gotten into Kali, he'd already obviously gotten into punching, kicking, and trapping a little bit. Okay? There's no, and if you look in the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, he was on his way into exploring what? The ground. I have no doubt in my mind, had Bruce had lived, he would have been a world-class ground fighter in his weight division, or probably outside of his weight division. No doubt. No doubt he'd be in Brazil doing tournaments. I don't have a doubt in my mind, because that's the bent of the man. Okay? Not to be the greatest ground fighter, but he would have seen that that was an element missing. Okay? Because as I look back on our old Kali Academy, that was the weakest link. Okay? It's not the weakest link anymore. It's not the weakest link anymore. And as far as I'm concerned, we have the Brazilians to thank for that. Okay? And we should be appreciative of that, just as we should be appreciative of the Filipinos for what we have. What you've been seeing is our concepts, our philosophies, our techniques, different instructors, the way they train. Stick around, we've got more. By now you should have a real feeling for what the summit was all about. So let's look at some more highlights. All I'm doing, guys, is what you already know how to do. You already know how to grapple, you already know how to stick fight, you already know how to knife fight. We're just putting it all together. Okay, it's what it looks like when it's done right. And go.
with the guys. Have a seat. Okay. What did we do? If you just saw that round, what would you? And somebody said, "What did Vunak just do for the morning session at the retreat?" What would you say? What? We flowed from art to art, from range to range. Expound on that. What else? Yeah. And there are other points, though. There are other points. Do you notice the self-perfection part? What would that be? The trapping sequence. Okay. What would be the self-preservation part? Stick fighting, knife fighting, and ground fighting. Okay, we didn't ground fight because it's on the hand, but and that's the self-preservation. So normally we get in a mode of one thing, self-preservation maybe, and you go, you're wrestling for half an hour and you're in that zone. Or you get in the mode of kickboxing and you're duking it out and you're taking punches and you're giving punches and you're in that zone. And when you're in that zone, it's hard to feel and be sensitive and absorb and be soft. And sometimes you need to do that when you fight a larger person. Okay? So what this sort of training does, blending the self-perfection with the self-preservation, gets you in the zone, out of the zone, in the zone, out of the zone. Okay? So the mind is perpetually flexible. Okay? And that is what we need. We need to be able to adapt like that. So this program that we learned today, if you do it right, and if you try to tighten it up every day and don't just go through the motions, but every day try to make it a little bit tighter and a little bit better than you did the day before. And every month try to make it a little bit better than the month before. Okay? We're covering every trap and every way a body can move. And then once you put that in with your sparring, now we're covering one of the most important attributes in a fight. Okay? And that's the ability to pull your techniques off under pressure, to get in the zone and out of the zone. We can call it in the zone, out of the zone, or we could say killer instinct and relaxation, or we could say, there's a lot of semantical words for it. I believe that's what the Asians originally called qi. So many JKD people make fun of qi. They say, no, there's no qi. It's there to make fun of when you got guys out there doing tongue push-ups and breaking boards and all that. So, it's there. You're going to make fun of it, okay? But there is qi. There is an energy flow that goes through the body, period. And it is an actual physiological thing. I think Michael Jordan has qi. I think Walter Payton has qi. I think, anybody that's ever had to rise to a high level and to go in the zone and out of the zone and have to turn it on, and once the cleats are on, the game face is on, let's rock, okay? And some people, when the pressure's on, they fall. Other people, they rise to the occasion, okay? And all know who you are. And the more you put yourself in a vulnerable position, the better your odds are of rising to an occasion. I'll use Jack for an example. Just got back from Brazil. Okay? It's putting yourself in a vulnerable position. Flying to another country. Listening to Portuguese for 2 weeks. Not speaking a word of English. And having to play their game on the mat. With them. The Brazilians. Okay? Had Jack and said, hey, you guys want to stand up and kickbox? Anybody want to get a knife in your hand? Put a stick in your hand? Nobody wants to do that. Okay? We have guys that flew to the Philippines. Did stick fighting. Greg Lewis. Okay? Heavyweight champion of the Philippines. Full instructor in our art. Okay? He put himself in a very vulnerable position. He flew to the Philippines. He got in with the best of the best. Okay? We get guys that go into the world of boxing. Okay? We get guys with, how many fights have you just had?
Total of like 6.
Okay.
Up on the Golden West in USA.
Yeah. So whatever arena that you put yourself in, so long as you don't get stuck in that way, okay, it's always good because it makes you vulnerable. When you place yourself in that position, you have to rise to the occasion. This has been my philosophy. Put yourself in a vulnerable position and rise to the occasion. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. So I'm just going to show you Serrata with a weapon, and then we're going to make the relationship with the empty hand. The absolute best, the best drill I've ever known
to develop the subtle nuances of the elbow is serrata, where one side is feeding, and you're using nerve destructions with your elbow. Okay, so this is serrata. I'll feed you, Ryan. Now notice Ryan is just staying right here. Everything that he does, he's not allowed to zone. This is what serrata means. Okay, Murata? This is much easier to do than this. This is a pain, gentlemen. Now, when you got this to empty hand, if I feed, boom, boom. See how tight those elbows have to become? Try to come in, so if he's coming in, bam, 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 boom. So I'm always getting out of the way. Give me a shot to the groin. I get out of the way first. Okay, then when he comes in again, boom, the shot is easier. So the movement is always there. Boom, boom, boom. So I'm up on my toes. If the jab comes in, boom. If the kick comes in, boom. I don't really, and now I don't know what's coming in. You got this impeccable form. It's really hard to screw up because your hands are up anyway. And if you do screw up and think something comes down and it comes up high, your hand was up anyway. Okay, if a karate person, because they get their hands down here, if they block a strike, they did good, right? And if they don't block a strike, they get hit. If we destroy a strike, we do good, and if we don't destroy a strike, we've blocked it. Okay, so the knee, when I say your knee is a flashlight, and you want to keep his shin illuminated, give me a shin shuffle kick right there. Boom. Okay, now do that again. Do you know how badly that would hurt? Again, please. Now this time, give me a shuffle kick right here. Boom. Now slowly. Okay, now don't tell me which one. So mine is the flashlight. I don't care what he's going to do, my knee is going to find it. Okay? So it's like a little flashlight. And it doesn't take any effort. And once you get that up, then boom, you're just mowing the guy down. And then the next thing he feels is this, bam. And then the headbutt knees and elbows, sorry. Okay? So you need to be totally relaxed out here. Boom, bring the elbows, put it in the knees. And once you see that response, right there, okay? Or, then you're in. Okay, then we go to the rapid assault tactics. Enter, straight blast, headbutt, knee, and elbow. Okay? So pinpoint that sucker. If it comes low, go low. If it goes high, go high. But let that knee, everybody do this. Get a rail. You don't have to make this a balance issue. Okay, now just take your knee and make the letter A. Now B. Now C. D. Okay, go from there. And then change. Find all the directions. Feel the muscles that are responsible for making subtle movements in that knee. It really doesn't take much.
Ooh, my man's doing all the destructions with the front leg, and it's working for him. You had some back leg stuff that was happening?
It just depends where you're twisted.
Okay.
Sometimes a front leg, sometimes it's a back
or
leg.
which foot's down.
Or which foot's down, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so you got that? Now, one side's going to feed a couple kicks. Once you got it down, don't tell them what you're going to do. Don't tell them what lines, and just come at them. And boom, you should just like a tracking device. Where are you going? Boop, where are you going? It's the elbow. If there's anything from the waist up, it's an elbow. Anything from the waist down, it's a knee. And you're going to get this airtight structure. Nobody can come in. Boom, everything they go, God damn, boom. Okay? And then the minute they're like that, the next thing that they feel is the straight blast. And then headbutts, knees, and elbows. The Filipino Kali Academy was the original proving ground. It was the laboratory by which all of the principles that we are now using are applied. You have to understand, back in those days, there was no academy like that. We had people from all over the world, boxers, Thai boxers, grapplers, kickboxers, savate men. Everybody wanted to come and get a piece of a Jeet Kune Do person. They wanted to come in and spar with us. They wanted to see how well they would do against Bruce Lee's art. And through the process of all these people coming to us, we learned the principles that work, these immutable principles. And the main principle that we found, there's always a bigger Thai boxer, a bigger savate man, a bigger kickboxer. So the one principle that we know that works is a straight blast, because it gets everybody to go backwards. As we had many, many people come to our school from all over the world, they all looked the same upon receiving a straight blast. They look like the wounded crane. Let me share with you something that happened recently. I recently started teaching at a different location from my school in San Diego County, and there's like 10 or 12 guys that come by and that train with me, and make a long story short, they wanted advanced technique. That word is starting to agitate me, advanced technique, because what the hell is advanced technique? Anyways, advanced technique. So it's like, okay, well, we need to focus on the basic stuff because I want to make sure you guys have all the little subtle movements down of your escapes. But to prove a point, we're gonna go ahead and do it. So we start doing hold downs from across the side. I show them 8 different ways to hold someone down from across the side and how to hold down tight. And then we turn it into a drill. Where one side has to try and escape and the other side just has to hold them down. Well, suddenly all the big guys are being held down by the smaller guys. Take a guess at what their first question is.
Why?
No.
How do we get out of here?
How do we escape? What did I say you need to focus on first? Your escapes. And it's just kind of like, we'll get to that later.
That's not the advanced class, but that's the basic class.
That's the basic class, escapes. Yeah. So even though we focused on advanced technique, holding somebody down, which is not really advanced, it's it's positional. It was so funny how their first thing's like, when are we going to get to escapes? When are we going to get to escape this position? It's like, I know you guys don't like being controlled, but I told you how I wanted to focus on the basic stuff, but you guys said no. So from the positional dominance, I'm going to show you how to take an arm lock and let them worry with that for a while, and then we'll show the escapes. People who come into my school and have an attitude and say, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. Man, jiu-jitsu is great because it's such a gentle art. I mean, all I do is, my favorite thing is one thigh kick, bam, and see them go, oh, do the old tackle, take them to the ground, mount, turn them over, and apply pressure on the neck. I don't care how big you are, how strong you are, what drug you're on. When the old CPU stops receiving energy, it goes out. It goes out. So keep this stuff basic. I know I gave you a lot of information today, but I just wanted to give you some other stuff that you maybe haven't seen before. And I wanted to show you a few more details to things that you've already seen. Now, the Vu flavor to things. Why don't we have the man himself give his little flavor on things?
Yeah, before I do that, it's so important to me that we're not just here putting on a show for you guys, but you guys, along with being our friends and our students, you go back and you grow, and you get better. Okay? That's like the most important thing to me. The majority of you I see every year for personal training programs.
Do your wrist thing? There you go.
Sit to the thumb, so
Bring your elbows.
Yeah, that's good.
it almost slips off there if I don't. Tight. Jeez. Then on the other side, this is great. Deep. Lift.
When you have somebody sitting on top of your chest and they're punching you and you have no idea who's friends with who and what's happening, you need to escape now. It's not time to look for a sportive type of escape. And I have a volunteer, somebody to mount on top of me. Okay, somebody's on top of me and I'm not sure what exactly they're going to do, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to want their arms up above my head. I'm going to place the web of my hand into their armpits. I'm going to push. Next thing I'm going to do is take both hands and go around the back and put my hands together. Or if they're too wide, they're too thick, and my arms aren't long enough, I will grab their gear, their shirt. Next thing I'm going to do is grab a mouthful of their nipple. When I bite, as I bite, 10 out of 10 people that I've bitten have all done the same thing. They all want to push away. When they push away, I push, I stand on my feet, and now we start fighting again. Start to fight if they want to continue. This is the easiest way I know how to get somebody off of you. In the area to bite, let me show a little action here. You're going to get a reaction. But this area right in here is very tender. So I want you to bite. Now I'm going to do this on his t-shirt, not on his nipple actually. But I want you to bite like this. I want you to put a little pit bull action in there. And bite. When they push away, I want you to push them off of you with everything you got. And stand up. Okay, the same thing. But now instead of them just mounting their here, I want your partner to lift up and start to throw blows. Okay? As they lift up and reach back with their fist, I want you to throw your hips up into the air as high as you can. Guard your face, bring both hands up to guard your face. As I raise up, you raise up and force my hands onto the ground. Good time. Now you grab and you bite. Okay, one more time. So as they reach back, first thing you do is you bring your hands up to guard your face. Next, your hips come up. You throw them up as far as you can. Okay, then you bite. And as they push away, you push them over.
Roy, what if they're up on your chest, but not up sitting on your hips?
I don't know.
If they're sitting up on your chest like this, and you raise your hips up, you see how it doesn't do much?
Right.
So what you need to do is bring a knee up, or both knees up, and hit their butt.
It's always so tough, you know. None of us could have figured that out with all the combined brain power.
There's no stupid question.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously not.
Right then, if you are that far up.
After you get to here, and now you look around you.
I can answer that. Different bite?
You look around. Okay, what I want you to do after you get to here is I want you to crawl up their back. I want you to pull with both arms and pull your back off the ground and crawl up my back. Go on, go on. Crawl your arms up farther. That's it.
This is head down.
And now you're in position. We'll call this nipple position. Good? Because you have to understand a bite escalates a person's use of force. They may have only been punching you at that time, but now that you've bit them and they're over the, what the? Guess what they want to do now? They want to bite you back. There's this thing in law enforcement which they call equal force plus one. It's kind of the same thing that happens in a fight. It's like we duke it out with each other, we punch with each other. Once a bite enters into it, it's kind of like, okay, now anything goes. Anything goes. So you have to understand that. That's why you need to create space. As much space as you can. Because once you bite, you've taken it to the next level. Okay. Now, sometimes you grab around the waist and you bite. And you go to push them off, but because their legs are hugged around you, now what happens is they end up, or you end up in their guard. That happens sometimes. Gary? So you get to here and you bite, and as they push away, go ahead and just push yourself away from me. Because their legs are hooked, as you push up, they end up you end up here. Maybe their ankles are crossed, maybe their ankles are not crossed. Well, now we're going to deal with the next component, which is getting past the guard in a fight. First thing you want to do is, let's say you just bit them, you tried to come to your knees, but they ended up crossing their ankles or their legs were behind you and you ended up here. You don't want them to bite you, you don't want them to put their thumbs in your eyes, you don't want them to hurt you. So the first thing you need to do is you need to put your hands, put the palm of your hands on their biceps, put your head down in their stomach, and guard your face. The little kidney shots back there, unless you've really trained them, they're like a little pinch. They don't bother you that much. What you're going to do now is you need them to assist you to stand up. So hit me. Thank you. What happened there, Gary?
Well, as soon as you bit, I had to create room to get you off of me, so I went and pushed you.
So I guarded my face, waited for the opportunity to take my hands and now slip underneath his back and grab here. Remember what Sifu Vunak talked about with Kinemutai? You want to bite, and you want to bite uninterrupted. You have to be able to bite and bite them for as long as you want to bite them. It's not just enough to do this. Hit me. That's not good. You got to bite from a safe position, and you also have to bite where they can't move. Now you put them on the defense, and it will help you to stand up. Okay? So, one more time. So this is what I want you to do. Here, come to here, put the bite in, and they push. As they push, you put your hands on the ground, you stand up, squeeze your knees together, and put a groin shot in. Squeeze your knees together and throw your hips forward. It brings their legs forward. You throw the legs to the side and decide what you're going to do. Whether you're going to go this way or this way. So whether you want to re-engage them or you want to disengage, I'll leave that up to you. But I want you to hug and bite. You drive forward and put your toes on the ground. As they push you up, you put your hands on the ground, help you to stand up, hit the groin on the way up, knees together, hips forward, and then push the legs. When you're practicing the neck clinch, it is paramount that your opponent wear gloves. Your partner has to try to hit you. And when he tries to hit you, that's when you start pulling the body, moving this person around a little bit. You might catch a few shots to the head. This is the way it's going to be. This is life. But they're never going to be shots that are going to take you out of commission. So the most important thing to remember is your partner has to have gloves on, and he has to actually try and hit you. You have to spend hours, weeks, months, and years in that position until it's your neighborhood. You know it inside and out. Every little nuance of this position, where the thumbs are, where the headbutt is, where the knee is to the groin. While all these tools are going on, your opponent has to really be trying to hit you.
I'm going to hit you up with another question. Let's say fighter A beats fighter B, okay, and then fighter B beats fighter C, and then fighter C beats fighter A. They're all, do you ever have that in boxing? Do you ever see that? It happens all the time.
Styles.
All the time. What?
Styles.
Styles. Some people can fight against this particular style of boxer, but they don't fight well against this style of boxer. Okay? Then you've got people that can adapt to any style. Doesn't matter, right lead, left lead, I don't care what. Okay? The theme of what we're doing this morning is to adapt. Because there's so many different people here. And if you fight the same way, and if you just sit there and look, I'm going to hit that hand, and you stick fight the same way, or knife fight the same way, you're not adapting. So I want you to be cognizant of the fact that everybody in front of you moves differently. Okay, question?
This is not a political question, not a boxer's question.
Uh-oh, this is a lawyer thing coming up.
That was your preface.
Non-judge
Sectional staff.
Well,
some other people is looking to other ways to control the upper body. We do, you know, the plum, but other people are looking to other ways from other arts. Is that worthwhile looking into, or are we
Control the body. That's an ambiguous phrase. Okay? The only reason we grab the neck is so we can headbutt, knee, and elbow him and keep him in our range, right? And a sub thing of that is we're also controlling him, but we're not out to. Our goal is not to control him. Our goal is to headbutt, knee, or elbow him. Okay? What do you mean when you say other? Like, show me another control of the body.
want this turned into? Well, let's say if we're moving in and you maybe go and I come under with an underhook, now I have good control of the body. It's not plumb, I can't headbutt, but I have elbows, knees.
Oh, that's
You know what I'm saying? Or if I'm in here to a body lock, all right, now I like takedowns.
I like all that.
Okay, I didn't.
Oh, that's all good.
All right, there you go.
But it is dangerously close to going to ground.
The $24,000 question is, what do you want to do, though?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Will that work? Heck yeah. Shit. That's tough
Depends where you end
stuff.
up.
That's grappling stuff, huh?
Depends where you end up. You might end up.
You know something?
End up right up the
How many people play basketball? Yeah. Raise your hand. No, Tim, put your hand up. I know better. I know better. I don't have a credit card handy to get under your feet, but... How many people play volleyball? Okay, how many people play chess? Nobody raised their hand. Figures the Vunak somewhere.
We're
Now,
chess champions here.
I can guarantee you that the people that play chess will beat the people that play volleyball.
If you play chess.
Pardon me?
If you play chess.
Thank you. And the people that play volleyball will beat the people that play basketball. At? Okay. You're going to be good at what you do. So the question is, what is it you want to do? Do you want to be a grappler? Do you want to be a boxer? Do you want to be a Thai boxer? Chances are you'll be good at whatever you do. So then you say, well, what is my criteria for picking what I want to be good at? And the criteria is, what is the best format for a smaller person to defeat a larger person? That's the criteria. And if that is your infrastructure, if that is your criteria, then clearly it is not grappling. Clearly it is not boxing, and clearly it's not kicking. Okay? Now does that mean that grappling, boxing, and kicking don't work? No. Of course not. And we do all of it. We do all of it. And it all works. It's so funny how we all like to pit this against that, so therefore we can say what is better. And the real issue is simply what's going to happen when you fight will be what you have trained. You will fight the way you train. You will train the way you fight. That's the way it works. Okay? Bruce found that if he could get people to run backwards, flopping around, that would mitigate the size differential between him and most Americans, because he was 128 pounds. Now, I personally, if I had, let's say, one teacher to pick from, and if I could pick his morphology, I would not want this person to be a 6'8" Samoan to be my teacher, because he's going to probably teach me the way he fights, and it doesn't work for me. The guy I would want to be my teacher, my role model, would be somebody of a smaller stature. And then I'm going to say, well, if you can make it work with your art, god dang, huh? That's good. I'll try that. That's where we look back at Bruce Lee. We look back at Dan and Osama. When it comes to joint manipulations, you got to understand there's a number of reasons why they don't work at times. From what I've seen on a lot of tapes, a lot of tournaments, the number one reason is poor mechanics. Just have bad mechanics. It's like you got to have mechanics with your locks, just like you have mechanics with your punches. It's just like you look at someone who punches like this, and you see there's nothing behind it. You're not going to hurt me. It's the same thing when it comes to manipulating somebody's joint. There's specific things that you have to do in order to gain leverage over that joint. Second reason why they don't work, second most common reason why they don't work, is abnormal range of motion in a joint.
I remember I gave a demo at an Aikido school once, and at the end they had me go at it with all the black belts. Well, there was a woman there who I went at it and I put her in an arm lock, and no joke, her arm went like this. It was close to a 90-degree angle. I had perfect mechanics. I had my hips up as high as I could go, and she was just looked like she was sipping on a cappuccino. She was just no problem. You got to give up the joint. When I took her foot, oh, she screamed. Not screamed, but she just she felt it. She felt it in her ankle. Some people have abnormal range of motion in their joint. This is one of them. I got a lot of pressure on this. Now, I can go a lot farther, but because experience has taught me in the past that this is one of those people who they're not going to actually tap until something tears. Right here. When you push on a joint, you push, you feel all the slack take up, it gets harder and harder, and then it reaches a point where it stops. Right? When you go to the point where it stops, when you go beyond that, that's usually where they feel intense pain and their body moves to try and get away from the pain, or they tap, especially if their body can't get away from the pain. I feel this move, slow down, it's stopping. Look at that. So sometimes when you go for an arm lock or a heel hook or whatever, it doesn't work because even though you have perfect mechanics, they have abnormal range of motion. Third one, high tolerance to pain. That's another one. Someone like Valiji, competing in a tournament and getting his arm broken and still fighting. What do you do with somebody like that?
Shoot him.
Yeah, if you have
The arm doesn't work right though after that, right? So
he went on to win.
That whole theory.
I had this theory, you know.
Yeah.
By breaking up bones on the guy, he's got to quit, right?
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of people out there, or at least those who are like that. We don't know of them, or they're locked up. But you know, what do you do with somebody like that? So you got poor mechanics, you've got abnormal range of motion, you've got somebody that's got high pain tolerance. Fourth one is you have somebody who's missing a few marbles or a few bricks short of a load. They're deranged. They have this on and off switch where they can go click and not feel any pain. A fifth category is somebody who's on something. Something like a serious central nervous system depressant where they don't feel anything. And then the sixth one is just any combination of the above five that I mentioned. So just because you go for a foot lock or a knee lock or an arm lock doesn't necessarily mean it's going to end the fight. And you got to understand that. Just because you poke someone in the eye or kick someone in the balls doesn't necessarily mean it's going to end the fight. You have to be able to adapt. That's the main message that Sifu Paul and all the other instructors try and get across to you. You got to be able to adapt, whether it's on the ground or with a knife or empty hand, long range or close range. You have to have the ability to adapt. Question is on the headlock. You know, the headlock. First thing you need to do to escape a headlock, there's three things you have to do to set everything up. One is turn onto your side, because if you stay on your back, they have the ability to put their weight on your floating ribs. So you turn onto your side. Number two, pull your elbow in so they don't pull your arm and get into a head and arm Keisagatami type situation. Thirdly, you want to dip your chin. So the pressure's not on the side of your neck, it's on your jawline. Still hurts a little bit, but it's not like getting blood cut off. Okay, now that you're here, you frame your arms just like you just did. Now, before you start pushing, what you need to do is you need to push and move your hips at the same time.
Back.
Push and move your hips back. Okay, now, once you get to here, you need to change the angle at which you push. You've already pushed, you've already used my body as a wall to move your hips away. And you've been pushing in this direction over here. Now what I want you to do is take this forearm and push me down back here.
That way?
No, no, no. Down, push my back down.
Yeah.
So the problem you were having is you weren't changing the direction that you pushed.
Just kept straining.
So you need to push them away, move your hips, and then push their head on the ground. One more time, please. So you turn to your side, tuck your arm in, dip your chin, frame your arms, push,
away. Once you get your hips away, now you push my head down, come to your knees. That's it.
I want you to think of your knee as a flashlight, and you want to illuminate your opponent's shin. So anytime you want anything from the waist down, you just point your knee wherever the kick comes. So the first 3 kicks we'll have will be a shuffle kick to the groin, boom, a rear kick, don't step backwards, just keep going forward. Boom, a rear kick to the thigh, bam, and a rear kick, and another kick this way, yes, with that one, boom. So all I'm going to do is 1, 2, 3, about that fast. Okay, 1, 2, 3. You're going to find you don't really need speed for this stuff, even with the elbows. Okay, so the first shot, boom, boom, boom. Okay, that's all I want. The knees have to start becoming, it's like a radar. I can't explain it. It's like a radar. If you think of yourself as I'm going to hit you and I'm going to hit you with my fist and my knee and you're going to hit me back and we're going to trade, I don't know. You're fighting. And when you fight, my experience is when you go toe-to-toe with somebody, the bigger guy wins. The bigger guy wins. But on the other hand, if you just kick back and relax and say, go ahead, Sparky. Come on. Knock yourself out. Okay. Boom. Oh, you run into something? Okay? And some guys are there, whoa, and he's trying to kick. And you're just waiting, getting out of the way, waiting. Boom. That's all you need. Okay? So if you keep a nice, cool head and you let these blows come by and you just pop out those knees, think of your elbow has a brain of its own. Your knee has a brain of its own. Boom. So these tools get more sophisticated. Our hands are relatively sophisticated because they're doing things all the time. Okay? So in karate, the big thing in the 50s was, or you need to use your feet the way you use your hands. Okay? And I don't know if you guys ever remember, but then kicking came about. Okay? To me, the people that really, really use their feet the way we use our hands are savate people. They literally do that. They can box with their feet. Okay? So you take a savate man, he boxes with his feet. So he can box with his hands and he can also box with his feet. So I could actually say savate people have educated feet. They've got the well, you can't say anybody's really got educated elbows or educated knees except colored people. The ones that know what they're doing. And they're far and few between too. You got to really dig down deep. Because nowadays, anybody with a stick in their hand calls himself a Kali master. Just like anybody that's horizontal is automatically a jiu-jitsu fighter. You know, and anybody that pops their knee up over 2 seconds in a minute is a Thai boxer. Okay? But the bottom line is, unless you delved into the arena, you are not that. This is just a drill to develop sophisticated knees, sophisticated elbows. You got to try to get through this airtight defense. Okay, Jack. And Ryan. And Ryan, feed. Okay, Jack. And Ryan. And break. So, this time, I'm doing my swinging. Jack pops out once in a while, does his headbutt, okay? But, I'm occasionally going to try to go in for a double leg takedown. When I do, Jack hits his face. Then we go back out, boom, headbutt, and then back to what I was doing. Sometimes you try to lift this to get under. You know what the wrestlers try to do? Lift the elbows to get, but you can't. Get it where you go. The game's like glue. You're like, shit, I can't go out. I can't go in. All I can do is boom. Okay, let's go.
Jeet Kune Do has a spiritual side. To me, spirituality is finding your place in the universe. My place is teaching. I'm not an actor, I'm not a fighter, I'm a teacher. The spiritual side for me is to be able to give back what has been given to me. It's up to you to look into yourself, to introspect, and to find out where your spiritual side lies.
Okay, you guys, I had a blast. I'll see y'all in 365 days.
Sometimes the best way to learn is not to look at someone's techniques, but see how they train. That's what this series provided, is a way to see exactly how we train. Good luck.